W.E.B. Du Bois was a man who lived about 95 years, and so his life really spans the 20th century and its issues and its major personalities. He was born in the North, in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, a small town in the Berkshires, and educated elementary and high school there, and then attended college at Fisk University in Tennessee, and then took a second bachelor's at Harvard, and then went on to obtain the PhD in history from Harvard, the first African-American to be awarded the doctorate. And before he did that, he spent about 2 years at the University of Berlin pursuing economic studies, and those 2 years had quite an impact upon him, as I've taken some pains to show. When he came back, he taught here and there at the University of Pennsylvania, wrote a book called The Philadelphia Negro, which is one of the first books of urban sociology in America. And then he went on to Atlanta University, and for 10 years he superintended the really pioneering studies, the Atlanta University studies, which simply took the whole gamut of African American and Southern life. And then he retired from teaching to the activity of being editor of the NAACP's magazine, The Crisis, from 1910 to 1934. And he was, of course, also a co-founder of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and it was he who insisted that it be colored, not Negro, not African, not black, but colored, because he wanted the association indeed to have a mission and mandate which would address itself to the larger issue of darker peoples everywhere. He was always thinking a bit ahead of the administrators, bureaucrats, and colleagues for whom the immediate and pragmatic was more compelling.
For Du Bois, this new organization, the NAACP, established in 1909, was the chance of a lifetime. He said, and I quote, "This pioneer organization, an experiment, is an attempt to do bravely and courageously a work that must be done." His publication was to fulfill several functions. First and foremost, he said, it was a magazine record of the very important happenings and movements in the world which bore on the great problem of interracial relations. Second, as a comprehensive review of opinion and literature pertinent to the race problem. Third, as a forum for prominent articles. And finally, the editorial page, mainly, though not exclusively, animated by Du Bois, stood for the rights of all, irrespective of color or race, for the highest ideals of American democracy. The Crisis magazine was labeled the organ of the NAACP. The Crisis went on sale at the beginning of November 1910 at 10 cents a copy. It was a 16-page volume, 10 inches high, backed by a 1-year, $50 a month line of credit given by the NAACP Executive Committee to Du Bois. Du Bois's brand of militant journalism, The Crisis, actually traced its lineage from Frederick Douglass's North Star and William Garrison's Liberator back to the first newspaper in North America, published by persons of African descent, Samuel Eli Cornish and John Russwurm's Freedom Journal. The agenda and tone of The Crisis were set by Du Bois's introductory editorial, stating its firm intention to set forth, quote, those facts and arguments which show the danger of race prejudice. The name of the magazine came from the fact that the editor, quote, today believes that this is a critical time in the history of the advancement of men and women. The Crisis format usually followed this general guidelines. 1. Along the color line. It's subsections with topics such as politics, education, social uplift, organizations, meetings, science, and art. Second section of opinion, which was a canvas of the press and representative correspondence. Third section, editorial, with some subsections, but usually a very large section varying each month from coverage of NAACP business to essays on various topics. Fourth section, the burden, a coverage of civil, economic, political, and literal atrocities against African Americans, with other sections as well. The Crisis is still the official publication of the NAACP. It is now a quarterly journal of civil rights, history, politics, and culture, and it seeks to educate and challenge its readers about issues facing African Americans and other communities of color. Pick it up for a $4 issue today, or you can visit thecrisismagazine.com to learn more.